Can we have a quick fangirl moment for how amazing Cynthia was in this movie? I still can't get over it. Hi guys, I'm Noémie. I'm a student in costume making, and did I entirely lose the plot right now? That's highly possible. I sat down to do my homework and I can't explain how this happened, but 2 hours later, my homework isn't done, and instead I have a pattern collection for Wicked inspired patterns. I simply have no excuse. The only thing I could say is that I decided to film it now because otherwise my brain would not stop thinking and compiling patterns, and I thought better stop now and get it done and stop obsessing over Wicked costumes, because yeah, I can't stop thinking about them. Hey, next day Noémie, and I realized I maybe didn't say properly, but obviously I am not going to share the actual patterns from the movie. Those are not available, so what I'm trying to do is find patterns that will give you a similar feel, a similar shape, but you are going to notice that they are a lot simpler. And also what we often losing is either the asymmetry that's in the original costumes, or the front closures that those costumes have are really intricate, and often in commercial patterns you are going to find stuff that are a bit more straightforward. So just wanted to warn you in case you thought you would find exact replicas of the Wicked pattern. We are going to find simpler forms simply because that's what is available in the pattern market nowadays. I have quite a few patterns, so let's just get started. All the Wicked costumes are very much centered around, well, the colors. Obviously, all of Elphaba's costumes are mostly black and all of Glinda's costumes are mostly pink. So obviously, everything I'm going to show you, the color you're going to choose, is going to massively affect the outcome of your sewing. But I really try to find shapes that would work nicely. So for example, for Elphaba's outfit when she arrived to school, I was looking for a dress, kind of high neck. I didn't find as high neck as she had, hopefully with buttons at the front and puffy sleeves. And I found this dress, which is not as high neck as hers, but I think it hits quite a few of the spots. So that's the Vogue V 2005, and honestly you have puffy sleeves, high neck, you have kind of like the heavily covered aspect than she has. And what I really liked with this is with the ruching, it creates a bit of the texture. And for having watched quite a few videos about Wicked costumes, Paul as well, who's made the costumes, explained that because Elphaba is very close to nature, her dresses, the micro pleating on her dress was mirroring kind of like a mushroom effect and like the texture of mushrooms. And obviously if you want to go and micro pleat a dress, and you know, go ahead, be my guest, but here I thought the ruffles gave a little bit of texture that echoed this micro pleating without having to spend 5,000 hours on the dress. So this is why I chose this Vogue pattern to start with. I have another Vogue pattern, which this one actually does cover the high neck but didn't have the button, and personally I preferred having the button but not the high neck. But I really found that because you had the high neck, the puffy sleeves, and again the long dress, if you had the right texture for this, it would send you on the right path as well for an Elphaba dress. So I felt like I also had to mention that one. And this one is the Vogue V9264, and they have a green number, and actually it looks quite Elphaba to me, so I'm quite pleased with this found. Honestly, trying to find, that's why I spent so long and wasted so much time, but trying to find Wicked inspired costume was quite a challenge. Also, normally I'm very indie designers, but here it's basically all big four. I really struggled to find anything that was outside of the big four. And I know there are a ton of patterns on Etsy, but I do not trust those small Etsy stores. I'm always scared that they are AI generated, so I stayed on patterns I can trust. So sadly that means a big four in this time. But if you know me normally, you're like, wow, that's a lot of big four for your normal habits. And I have also a simplicity code, and it's the code 8769. She did wear a really long coat, and this is a military coat, and I find that this really has a shape that could also work when she leaves class and take the cub on the bike. I find that this coat, which is kind of tailored on the top but then long and flowy at the bottom, really worked for that part. So for your Elphaba coat, I would go with the B view of this pattern. I thought that was pretty on point and really gave you that tailoring that she has in her clothing. And I have another coat that's very high neck, has the button down the front, but this one doesn't have as dramatically puffy sleeves, and it's the McCall's M8156. Also a very long coat that has this tailoring on the top. It looks like it's an easier make than the military coat I showed you just before. So if the military coat is a little bit too intense for you, this I think would be a simpler make to achieve that sort of look. It's 3 p.m. and the light is dimming so fast, so I'm gonna keep going to try to beat the darkness. So next up, I really wanted to find something to match the pinafore she was wearing at school, and I could not for the life of me find a photo of Cynthia wearing it, and I'm sure I've seen it in the movie. I was like, where is that pinafore? So in the end, I have a Barbie doll wearing the dress to show you the dress I was trying to find. I can't believe I couldn't find an actual photo of Cynthia wearing it, but here you are. I really looked everywhere and couldn't find it. I guess more and more photos are gonna come out as the movie is out for longer and longer, but at the moment, very hard to find. So what I was looking here was a pinafore that didn't have too low an arm side, because as you can see here, it kind of hugged her arms pretty well. But what I really wanted was the square neckline, a fitted top, and then for the skirt, I accepted that I would find whatever I would find. So for the first one here, the new look, N6572, not perfect. I have the square neckline and the right arm side, but then it's not fitted underneath. I still wanted to put it because I think that a fitted model doesn't suit everyone's preference and style, so I thought if you prefer having a little bit more room around your stomach, this one would be a good contender for that square neckline. Also, the neckline that Elphaba is actually wearing is quite low. She wears a shirt under it, but yeah, I thought maybe you want something less low, so I still wanted to add this new look number. But something that really worked for me for the height of the neckline, the arm side, but then the dress is a little bit too gathered, sadly, but trying to get it all, is this number from Folkwear. So it's a dirndl, but honestly, I think it works. It has a right neckline. The pattern also comes with 2 views for the height of the neckline, so you can choose what suits you best. But I feel like with the right fabric, and maybe by taking out a little bit of the volume in the skirt, you would have something pretty spot on. It looks like Cynthia's dress has actually full seams that are going a little bit princess seams on her pinafore. This one just has darts, so not full seams, but oh gosh, this was so hard to find. If I could find a perfect one, I would have been so happy. I have another option that's a little bit further away, but I just wanted to have something that's also a little bit more size inclusive and So Liberated is that. So I just wanted to mention the penny pinafore from So Liberated if you were happy to have a vibe from the movie, but not something extremely accurate. I just wanted to mention that pinafore because it also has a square neckline. It, however, has a much lower arm side and it's also a very different back. But I thought, you know, at a pinch, it has a similar style, and I also wanted to make sure that everyone could find something they are comfortable in. And actually, I have this Burda style 8448 and it's also a dirndl, so clearly this shape of dress is what fits here. What I liked about this one is that it does have the seams, so it does come a little bit closer to what Cynthia is wearing in the film, so that's also an option for the pinafore dress that she wears at school. And last one, I realize I've looked for that pinafore for so long that I got a bit crazy and I have so many, but it's the Lilia dress and pinafore by Named Clothing. And here again, it allows for a little bit more room in the tummy, which I think could be appreciable for some people. The neckline is much higher, so if you're more modestly dressing, this would really suit you as well. And I still found that despite the bodice being less worked and having less seams than, for example, the Burda style that I showed just before, it still has this school vibe, so I wanted to put it, even though this one is also a little bit further away from the movie, but I wanted to give you plenty of option to reveal your inner oh my god, I'm gonna say it wrong every time, to reveal your inner Cynthia and inner Elphaba. Okay, finally there is that scene where she's in the woods with Fiyero and she's wearing this little waistcoat, and I wanted to give you a waistcoat option. So I have the Miller from Merchant and Mills, And I chose this one again for whoever wants a little bit more room around the stomach, and it's not super fitted, so I thought some people might prefer this sort of model and shape because everyone doesn't want something super fitted. But if you do want something fitted, then I have the Benny Vest by Bella Loves Patterns. And this one is a little bit closer to what she's wearing in the movie, so really cinched in at the waist and has that little bow in the back. So it looks very school-like, and I thought that one was pretty on point. Okay, let's go to Nessarose. This way we stay with the sister, and I just have a couple for Nessarose. And actually, what I really wanted to find for you guys is an adaptive wheelchair-friendly dress. I would have been so happy to find that, but I really searched and searched and searched, and I couldn't find anything that looked a little bit nice. So I'm so sorry, because I thought that to talk about the character of Nessarose, I really wanted an adaptive pattern, and I couldn't, and I'm so upset. So apologies for this. The look I'm trying to recreate now is the look she has when she arrives at school. So that little oversized blouse with the puffy sleeves, and then a quite vintage skirt. And I have two options for the blouse. First, I have the patina blouse from Friday Pattern Co. I had to mention them. You know, I couldn't get away from mentioning Friday Pattern Co. in a video. The thing is, the blouse Nessarose is wearing is very high neck, and I couldn't find a combination of something that's quite puffy around the chest, that has the puffy sleeves and also the high neck. So I decided that amongst the three I would sacrifice the high neck, because I did find patterns that had a high neck, the puffy sleeves, but then something quite fitted around the bodice, and I didn't like it as much. So I decided, let's go with the patina blouse. It's a really safe bet. And I also want to mention the Belle shirt from Peppermint magazine, and this is a pay what you want pattern that you can get from $5, and it also has a little bit of a high neckline and those slightly wider sleeves. I think the Peppermint magazine gives you more the right vibe, but this one's a little bit of a cheaper pattern. I thought I would mention it as well. I found that the sleeves are not quite puffy enough, but the neckline is a little bit better. And finally, for the skirt, I wanted to mention the vintage style skirt from Peppermint magazine as well. And this one is a pay what you want, and you can also get this pattern for free if you prefer. And this gives you exactly the right length of skirt for what she's wearing to go to school. So I thought this would be a very good option for you. Okay, I'm then going to Fiyero, and then we'll go to Glinda. I know you all waiting for the Glinda dresses I had found. For Fiyero, I had found two options for you, and one is the Vogue V1853, and it's a double-breasted military style coat. And this one in particular, with the high neck, I found fit the brief quite well. And let's face it, if you make a Fiyero style coat, what is going to make it very Fiyero is all the embroidery that you are going to spend hours and hours and hours embroidering on your jacket. So I thought that this shape kind of gave the right feel. Honestly, it was very hard to find something as intricate and as beautiful as what Fiyero's wearing, but I thought this kind of led us in the right direction. I would personally make it with the high collar but the cropped view to match what Fiyero's wearing the best. And I also wanted to mention that one, and that's because it's a pattern that's men and women, and it's also double-breasted. It also has a high collar, even though if you wanted to match Fiyero's style, I would make it a little bit taller still. But this is a Belgian military chef jacket, and I was like, it's a Belgian jacket, and if you know, I'm Belgian, so I thought I would push this very random pattern from Folkwear. And yeah, again, I thought this one is a bit of a simpler base, men and women. You would just need to make the collar a little bit higher, and then again go wild with the embroidery. So it would allow you to, while keeping it fairly simple on the construction itself, then go and try to recreate the pattern as best you can or as best you want with the embroidery. So I wanted to mention that one too. Okay, we have to accept that I have totally lost the fight against the light, didn't I? I tried. Okay, let's get Glinda's costumes ready. Okay, the first pattern I wanted to mention was the McCall's 7513. 3. And this is a coat that is really nipped in at the waist and then has this peplum effect at the bottom. And to be honest, Ariana doesn't wear something exactly like this in the movie, but she wears a lot of those suit sets with a skirt that give kind of this vibe, and I thought this coat had the right vibe. So it's not really matching something that we see in the movie, but I thought that the peplum was very Glinda, and if you made this in pink, it gives the right structure, the right waist definition that she has, and then the little femininity around the skirt. I thought that this, yeah, I couldn't like not mention this one, even though it doesn't match anything specific in the movie. I thought was quite on point for Glinda. Let's call it City Glinda. Okay, and here you're going to say that I totally lost my mind. I was trying to find a blazer jacket that had the puffy sleeves like she's wearing at the end. And I mean, let's just give up about the crisscross thing that she has going on. That's so pretty, by the way, but like I was never going to find that, I could tell. But if you want to find a blazer that has a puffy sleeve, okay, I'm going to show it to you and it's super ugly, but picture it in a pretty Glinda fabric and it's going to help. It's this Edwardian jacket with puff sleeves from the 19th century. And honestly, if you kind of touch up the color at the top, the sleeves are not so different from Glinda's. I think that they really look ugly in this pattern here because it's a shiny brown fabric. But imagine it's something matte and something pink. I think it would work. Again, it has this nipped in waist and a little bit of a flare under it, which really matches what Glinda's wearing. And yeah, I know this pattern looks really, really ugly, but if you look only at the shape, you can't tell me I haven't like found something there. And you guys, can I repeat how hard it was to find patterns for this movie? Like the costumes are so out there. Okay, and I thought I would be done thinking about this, but apparently I'm not done thinking about it. So I have also found another vintage pattern, which is the New Look 6776. And it's also a sort of suit jacket with puffy sleeves. And even though it's a vintage pattern, so it's a bit harder to find, I still wanted to mention it because those puffy sleeves have been haunting me quite a bit. Then, if you have seen the movie, you saw that Ariana wears those suit ensembles, so a suit jacket and then a little skirt, a little bit Chanel-like, but with pointed shoulders. And gosh, I searched and searched, but I couldn't find a pattern that has that. But I thought what you could do is find a traditional suit pattern and then point the shoulders yourself. So I will link as well in the description down below a tutorial on how to add pointed shoulders to your pattern. And when you look at the tutorial, you might think like, wow, those pointed shoulders are really pointed and a little bit extreme. But if you look at the photos properly, Ariana's wearing something quite pointed and quite extreme as well. So that would definitely be an option, to take a normal pattern and to jazz it up yourself. And also what's been haunting me is that I have not been giving you a suit jacket that you could use to make those pointy sleeves, for example. And what was hard to find is that when you look at suit jackets, often that are paired with a pencil skirt for that suit set look that she's wearing, they are much longer blazers, and what Ariana's wearing here is a more cropped version. So actually I have found the Burda style 6569, and this one has one view that is a little bit more cropped, and I think that works a little bit better for what we are going after. So I will add this here, and I haven't looked for a skirt that would match exactly what Ariana's wearing. She's not wearing actual pencil skirts. I think if you want to replicate something like her, your best bet would be a quarter circle skirt or half circle skirts, depending on the moments in the movie. Back to yesterday's Noémie. Okay, again, something that's not exactly in the movie, but that again had a really Glinda feel to me. You're gonna be like, you didn't find anything from the movie, did you? No, I did not. It was very hard. But this, okay, it's also pink on the photo here, which helps. But for me, what sold this was the texture. So having something a little bit see-through on the shoulder, because that's something Ariana wore a lot, was those texture, something satiny, but then something sheer on top. She wore a lot of sheer materials. So that spoke to me. And then again, nipped in waist and peplum bottom. As you can see, there is a brief I was trying to fill. So if you wanted kind of a touch of Glinda in your life, but not a full-on costume, I feel like this top could be it, and I didn't say what it was, and it's the McCall's M8509. Okay, afterwards I have searched for something that would match that dressing gown she's wearing in Popular, and obviously we will never find something that has like the big voluminous ruching at the shoulders. I'm trying to find something realistic that you could probably use as a base, and what I have found here is the McCall's M8431. Why I chose that one is that it had the full length and long sleeve option that matches what Ariana had, and also it has some ruching around the neckline and at the cuffs, which I thought would give you a little bit of that texture that Ariana had. And obviously you would need it to make it fully in pink too, or whatever she was wearing, because that would give you the right look for this costume. That's a more extreme option, but I have a more chilled option, which if you want to be Glinda at home but just for yourself, is the Vogue V2077. And what I liked about this one is again the play on texture. So if you made it a little bit like the photo with like a satin on the bottom and then something a little bit reminiscent of Ariana's costume on the top, you could really have this Glinda feel without having the full length and everything. So the first pattern is if you want the full deal and try to make it as close to what she had as possible, you could use that as a base and then add the bits to make it like Ariana's wearing. But this one would be more if you want something that you can actually use at home, but then also feel a little bit like Glinda. So now, two more costumes I will try to tackle for Glinda, and it's one, the bubble dress that she wears when she arrives at the first moments of the movie, and then the dress she wears in Ozdust. And oh my gosh, those two were basically impossible to get. So the whole concept of that dress is that she arrives in a bubble and everything in the dress is bubble-like. So there's like all those curves in the dress and everything. Very, very hard to find anything that replicates this. I wanted to mention the Vogue pattern V1963, and I wanted to mention this one because it has kind of this overskirt on top of the first skirt, and that was a little bit reminiscent to me of the different bubbles that Glinda has in her dress. It is also strapless, which is something I wanted to tick as a box from Glinda's dress, but I have to say the bust here is just not matching what Ariana's wearing in the movie. But you can't have it all, guys. So here I was thinking the skirt part could kind of match what Ariana was wearing in a toned down version. Another option I had, which was how to make this skirt volume appear, was the Simplicity S9289, and it has a detachable train, and I thought that could also kind of give you the volume in the bottom that is reminiscing of whatever Ariana's wearing in the movie. So if you look at the pink version, again, oh, now I'm looking at it, I'm like, it doesn't go anywhere near the bubbles she's wearing, but again, have to think creatively. It was very hard to find anything close to what she was wearing. I have an even simpler pattern if you want to feel a little bit like Ariana Grande, but it's hard, is this Simplicity numbers is the 3878, and this one is a strapless dress as well, and it has tulle to create the volume in the skirt, which I thought was also quite a sweet way to create that volume and make it look a little bit Glinda-like. I thought it had that princessy vibe that we were looking for. Oh, okay, and I have that, see, when I am not happy with what I'm finding, I'm throwing a million options at you. The last one I have is the McCall's M7718, and this one I thought if you took the strapless version with the bust and then the skirt, again, you don't have the volume in the skirt, but if you wore a petticoat under it, it would kind of bring you near to what you want. So the view C would be what I was thinking of. But again, it's like much simpler than what Ariana Grande is wearing in the movie. So it would really be your base, and then you would need to build up on that probably. Okay, what Ariana was wearing in the Ozdust was impossible to find. So basically she's wearing a strapless number with all of those flowers in the texture and everything. I tried to find a strapless ruffle dress to kind of match that feel. I couldn't find fully strapless, but I found one strap which kind of works, and it's a vintage pattern, so it's also hard to find. but it's the Vogue pattern 1702, and as you can see it has a lot of ruffles at the bottom. It has ruching on the side, which I thought matched what Ariana was wearing, because she also had a little bit of this shape on her dress in the flowers that were creating the 3D aspects, and I thought, well, here if the ruffles is going down this way and then ruched here and then ruffles at the bottom, it kind of matches the direction of the 3D elements that Ariana has on her dress. So it's not perfect, but I thought we touched something not too far there, and I feel like if you had a pink and orange fabric like Ariana's wearing in the movie, you would be quite close to something quite nice. And I also wanted to offer an option that's a little bit more modest if you want to feel like Ariana Grande in the Ozdust, but you also want to be a bit covered, you want to be able to wear a bra and everything. And I wanted to mention this Buttrick 6927, and you can see why I selected this dress. It also has the ruffles around the neckline, and then again the ruffle follows this shape on the body and then the ruffle at the bottom. So I thought, okay, this one is definitely further away from what we see in the movie, but kind of has a reminiscent aspect, and if you make it in the right fabric, you could definitely have something that's a little bit inspired by Glinda's Ozdust outfit. Guys, I hope this little roundup was interesting for you to watch. I hope it inspired you. I don't know if you are planning to sew a Wicked outfit, but yeah, I hope this was enjoyable for you guys to watch. If you watched the movie, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you enjoyed the costumes as much as I did. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a little like, and if you want to follow my sewing adventures and my costume making adventures, please consider subscribing to my channel. If there's any costumes that you've seen and that you know a pattern of that would match super well, please leave it down in the comments for everyone, because I'm sure you guys would have ideas that maybe I haven't seen or haven't thought of. So please share anything you think of in the comments below, and don't forget that you can make anything, including a beautiful Wicked outfit. See you in the next one. Bye!